Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name is Liaquat Zaman. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Roots of Knowledge. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Alright, so this series is dedicated to going through the Mukhtasar al-Qudoori. Well, you guys might be familiar with Mukhtasar al-Qudoori, you might not be familiar. It's basically a textbook of Hanafi Fiqh. And the text, as you can see, the text I've written over here on the screen, I've actually this time I've copy and pasted text itself rather than taking an image of the actual book. So let me know if this is a format which you prefer. Only problem is that I know this version might have some words which you don't get in the PDF copy of it. So that's the only kind of thing that I'm sort of like worrying about. Otherwise, should be fine. Alright, so let's go. Let's explain some of these words. So ghamma, yaghummu, ghumma, right, which actually means to become to make obscure, ghamma, right, and gham is also called obscurity in the mind. Hilal is a crescent. Yeah, so moon when it starts off is called the crescent, the hilal. Zawal is, you guys should know that. Eid, you guys should know. Adhan, you guys should know that as well, which means next day. And udhr means an excuse. And yustahab, yuqtasi, yatatayyab, we've done that before, so you guys should know that one. Yafrughu, you should know that. Yatawajjahu, you should know that. Musalla, you should know that. Lots of words here. Yakhtubu, you should know that. Loads of words here that you guys should have learned from the last lesson. Hadatha means to occur. Hadatha, yahduthu. Okay, what other words are here? Aqib means after, straight after. Arafah is a name, right? So it's a name. Yawm Arafah. And Takbir, Aqib. Okay, right. Everything else should be quite straightforward. Let's do a little bit of tarkib then. So in shart, ghumma is majhul, al-hilalu is the naib file, right? So this is naib file of ghumma. Shahidu in the imami. Okay, all these with ba'da. Right, so ba'da zarf, al-ida is the maful bihi, ghadi is the majroor, hadatha, udhrun is the fa'il of hadatha, mana an-nasa. Right, supposed to be مفعول به. حدث أذر منع الناس. There's no كسر للناس. It's الناس supposed to be ناس with the فتحة. صفة الثاني is a صفة of يوم. And then يصلي لم يصلي is جزم. And then you've got over here فعل فاعل. بعده is ظرف. يستحب مجهول. في اليوم الأضحى is a صفة of يوم. يغتسل يغتسل يتطيب is فعل مضارع. يؤخر, right, so that's فعل مضارع as well. الأكل مفعول به. حتى is حرف جر. يفرغ, and because of the حرف جر you have an hidden over here. من الصلاة يتوجه يتوجه, so it came before as well. وهو يكبر, so واو حالية, هو مبتدا, يكبر is فعل مضارع and is the خبر. ويصلي الأضحى ركعتين كصلاة مضاف. الفطر ويخطب بعدها is ظرف. خطبتين is two. يعلم يعلم الناس is the first مفعول به. فيهما الأضحية is the second مفعول به. And you got وتكبيرات التشريق, right, so عطف onto أضحية. Right, so it's mansub. It's written as kasra, but it's mansub. And then you've got عذر منع الناس من الصلاة في يوم الأضحى صلاها من الغد وبعد الغد ولا يصليها بعد ذلك. وتكبير التشريق مضاف إليه is مبتدأ. أوله, okay, so أوله is the مبتدأ. عقيبة is the خبر الظرف. Okay, it's the خبر but it's the ظرف, that's why it's منصوب. Okay, so فجر يوم عرفة. Now, does anyone know why عرفة is a single fatha? Put in the comments. آخره مبتدأ. عقيب الصلاة, again the same thing as before. من النحر عند أبي حنيفة. وقال أبو يوسف فتحة. ومحمد, this is عطف onto أبو. إلى صلاة, okay, the file of قال. إلى صلاة العصر من آخر أيام التشريق والتكبير عقيب الصلاة. تكبير مبتدأ. عقيب is the ظرف. الصلوات المفروضات الصفة of الصلوات. وهو أن يقول and because of an Allahu Akbar. So Allah, the word Allah is mubtada and khabar is the word Akbar. Allahu Akbar, and it's غير منصرف, by the way. Let me know in the comments why the word Akbar is غير منصرف. See if you know. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, walillahi alhamd. So hamd here is mubtada muakhar and lillahi is the khabar muqaddam. Alright, let's look at the masail over here. Now there's not really any sort of like new things here apart from just a few, because like most of them we've covered last lesson. So okay, so first of all, when Eid al-Fitr, when does Eid al-Fitr become acknowledged, or when is it recognized that it's Eid al-Fitr? So on the 29th of Ramadan, basically what happens is people start looking outside to see if they can detect the crescent, the moon, right? So on that day, Ramadan, 29th of Ramadan, they look out for the crescent, right? And if they see the crescent, the next day will be Eid. And so there was only 29 days in that Ramadan. If they don't see the crescent, then they obviously fast on the 30th, and the first day starts the next day, right? So this is just illustrating of how the Eid is going to be sort of like understood. Is it going to be after the 29th, or is it going to be after the 30th? So let's say, for example, like this happens. On the 29th, no one saw the moon, crescent. 30th day came. Now, on day 30, what basically happened was, remember, humans are the ones that are going to tell if the moon has been detected. So what basically happens is, on the 30th, after midday, right, when Eid Salat is over, or the possibility of Eid Salat is over, someone came and said, oh, I saw the moon yesterday. Right, I saw the moon. So news reaches after Zawal. What's going to happen now? So clearly, today is going to be Eid, right? But they miss Eid Salat. So in that case, what's going to happen is the Imam, the government will tell the people, now we're going to do Eid the next day now, because the sighting was reported after Zawal the next day. So now Eid, technically the 30th is actually the 1st of Shawwal, and it is the Eid day. But they just didn't really realize it. So everyone who's fasting will break their fast and so forth. And so now the next day is actually going to be considered to be the Eid. Right, so look at this. فَإِنْ غُمَّ الْهِلَالُ, if the crescent is obscured, عَلَى النَّاسِ, for the people, فَشَهِدُوا عِنْدَ الْإِمَامِ, and they give testimony, people give testimony to the Imam, to the leader, the government, بِرُؤْيَةِ الْهِلَالِ, with the witnessing of the crescent. بَعْدَ الزَّوَالِ, however, it's after the Zawal on that day. صَلَّى الْإِيد, the people will pray the Eid, Imam will pray the Eid, min al-ghadi, on the next day. Okay, so they'll pray the Eid on the second day then. Alright. Now what if on the second day something happens, like there's this heavy rain, or something happens that people can't pray, something's occurred. Then what are they going to do? Are they going to shift it onto the next day, the day after that? No, they're not going to do that. Right. So if any rainfall or any sort of like impediment occurs on that particular day, stopping people from praying on the second day, then no. Right. They're not going to move to the day 3. And this is what he says in the text when he says, فَإِنْ حَدَثَ أُذْرٌ, if an udhr occurs, مَعَ النَّاسِ, with the people, مِنَ الصَّلَاةِ, of praying, from praying, فِي الْيَوْمِ الثَّانِي, on the second day, لَمْ يُصَلِّهَا بَعْدَهُ, he will not pray after, meaning he will not pray on the third. Right? So you got like on the first and on the second, that's it. Alright, that's all over now. Eid al-Fitr rulings are all over. Now he's talking about Eid al-Adha. So over here he lists, remember the things that we mentioned last lesson regarding the Eid al-Fitr. Well, the same things, but this time Eid al-Adha. So number 1, take a bath, right, because of public gathering. Number 2, perfume yourself. Number 3 is, eat after the Eid. It's considered recommended to eat after the Eid. So this is different. Whereas previously in Eid al-Fitr, it was recommended to eat before Eid. Okay, and that's the difference. And the other one is go to the musalla. Remember the musalla is? Yeah, where the imam leads outside, outdoors. Right? Go to the musalla and pray over there. Right? Now, yustahabbu fi yawm al-Adha, and it's considered to be recommended on the day of Adha. Adha simply means the day of Eid of Hajj. And yaghtasila, that the person does ghusl, wa yatatayyaba, and he uses perfume, wa yuakhira al-akla, and he delays eating hatta yafrugha, until he completes from the salat, wa yatawajjah ila al-musalla, and he goes towards the musalla, وَهُوَ يُكَبِّرُ, whilst giving takbir. So this is different. Remember we said last time, Abu Hanifa said, no, when you're going to the musalla, do not do takbir allowed. Over here, he says, yes, do it. وَهُوَ يُكَبِّرُ وَيُصَلِّي. So that's the kind of difference between this, second difference between this masala and that one. Right, so the guy goes towards the musalla, and whilst he's going, he just says, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. What is the takbir? Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, wa lillahi alhamd. Right, which is going to come in a bit. Or any sort of takbir or dhikr, that's sufficient. Okay, وَيُصَلِّي al-Adha, and he prays the Adha rak'atain, 2 rak'ats, like the Eid, identical. كَصَلَاةِ الْفِطْرِ, like the Salat al-Fitr. وَيَخْتُبُ, and he gives khutbah. Right, so 2 rak'ats he prays, and he gives khutbah after it, two khutbahs, like the Eid one. So yu'allimu nas, what should he do in this khutbah? Obviously, anything pertaining to Eid he should mention. Yu'allimu nasa, he teaches people fihima, in the 2 khutbahs. Udhiyah, the rulings of slaughtering, because this is when slaughtering is going to take place. Animals are going to be slaughtered. Wa takbirat al-Tashriq, and the rulings of the takbirat, the extra takbirat that you do in the days of Tashriq. Right, what are the days of Tashriq? I'm going to explain that in a bit. Okay, I'm going to show you that in a bit. So basically, the imam stands on the minbar or platform, gives a khutbah to the people, explain to them, right guys, on this day you're going to slaughter an animal, and these are... Okay, so these kind of this kind of rule, like I said, there's actually a chapter for it in al-Qudoori, which is dedicated to this, so like all the rules of how to slaughter, what to slaughter on this particular day. We're not going to cover that over here. Alright, now let's go back to this then. So, Takbirat al-Tashriq, فَإِنْ حَدَثَ عُذْرٌ مَنْعَ النَّاسِ. Now, what if that thing, remember earlier on in the beginning of this lesson we mentioned about what if there's a rain and people can't pray, and they go to the next day and pray the Eid the next day? That's what we're going to mention a bit. But this is the Takbirat, okay, when I said about Takbirat Tashriq. Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, wa lillahi alhamd. That is it. So, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Yeah, 1, 2. La ilaha illallah, Wallahu Akbar. So 3 Allahu Akbars. 4 Allahu Akbars. Walillahi alhamd. So 4 Allahu Akbars, 1 La ilaha illallah, and 1 Walillahi alhamd. Yeah, that's what you say basically after the prayers, like we're going to mention in a bit. This is called Takbirat al-Tashriq. So he says, فَإِنْ حَدَثَ عُذْرٌ. Right, now look at this. Let's say, for example, what happens basically is... something happens where people cannot pray Eid on that day. So this is in the month of Dhul Hijjah. Right? In the month of Dhul Hijjah, people go for Hajj. The 8th, 9th, 10th, etc. The 10th day is called Yawm al-Nahar, the day of slaughtering. And this is known as Eid day, Eid al-Adha as well. Alright? This is the day which we're talking about. So let's say, for example, there's heavy rainfall on this day. People can't pray the Eid. What's going to happen? Eid does not get cancelled. Eid is going to be postponed to the next day. Right, so you postpone Eid to the 11th basically. So let's move this all to the 11th. Right, so on this day, on the 11th day, people will now reschedule the Eid Salat, pray on the 11th day. So he says, in hadatha udhrun, if an excuse occurs which prevents people from praying Salat fi yawm al-Adha, sallaha min ghad. They pray on the next day. What if something happens on that day? Right, and stops people from being able to pray on that day? There's heavy rainfall on 11th as well. Then what? So he says, then you move on to the next day. Right? So heavy rainfall, move on to the 12th. And what if there's heavy rainfall on the 12th? Do you move on to the 13th? No. So you just do it for 3 days, and then after that, no. 13th, no. Right, on 10th, 11th, and 12th. Right, so let's look at the text then. وَبَعْدَ الْغَدِ, and even after that, tomorrow. وَلَا يُصَلِّيهَا بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ, and he does not pray after that, meaning on the 13th, 14th, 15th, no. Right? If you missed it, you missed it. And this is only for the imam, okay, by the way. It's not for a person who wakes up late and is lazy and missed the Eid. They can do it the next day, no. Only for the imam, for the people, the public. Alright, now, see, when I said to you about the takbirs of Tashriq, I said to you, you recite them after the salat. Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Wallahi alhamd. So when do you actually start this? So according to the scholars, see, these 3 days in red, they're called the days of Tashriq. They're known as the days of Tashriq. Okay? So technically you actually start reciting the Tashriq supplication or dhikr on the 9th. Yeah. No, not 10th. On the 9th. Let's change that there. Right, on the 9th, you actually start over here on Fajr time. So after Fajr, once you've given salam after Fajr, you say Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Wallahi alhamd. The next salat, Dhuhr, do the same. Only after the Fard salat, that's it. Right? All the way Imam Abu Hanifa says up to the next day, Asr. So technically, that's 8 salats altogether. Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr. Right? So you got 8 salats over there. And after every Fard salat, he says, you recite this dua at least once. It's necessary. Abu Yusuf and Muhammad, they disagree with him. They say, yes, we agree that you start at Fajr time on the 9th. But the ending, they say, is on the 13th. Right over here. All the way over there. Right, so they're actually saying that this actually continues throughout the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, all the way until the 13th day. This is the position that many of the Hanafis have taken. Okay, so that's the difference. And they say basically after every salat you recite it once. Whether you're reading in the masjid or at home, individually or with congregation, you recite it after every fard salat once. So he says, so look at this. He says, وَتَكْبِيرُ التَّشْرِيقِ أَوَّلُهُ, the first of it is immediately after Salat al-Fajr min Yawm al-Arafah, from the day of Arafah on the 9th. وَآخِرُهُ, by the way, 9th is called Yawm Arafah, 10th is called Yawm al-Nahar, and the rest of the days are called Ayyam al-Tashriq. So he says, after Salat al-Asr, until after Salat al-Asr on the day of Nahar, according to Imam Abu Hanifa, وَقَالَ أَبُو يُوسُفَ وَمُحَمَّدٌ إلى صلاة العصر, all the way until Salat al-Asr, من آخر أيام التشريق, until the end of the days of Tashriq, meaning 13th. What is the takbirat? So he goes, the takbir after the mafrood salats. So only after the fard salats, okay, not after sunnahs, not after wajibs, only fard. وهو أن يقول, and this is that a person says, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Wallahi alhamd. So, Jazakumullah khair. I hope this lesson was beneficial for you guys and makes sense as well what we covered. So, just to recap, what did we cover over here? So, first of all, number one is what if the people see the moon sighting on Ramadan the 29th and report it delayed, and the people don't get to pray Eid on the 30th? What do? They move the Eid to the next day. And can they keep on moving it? No. Right? Okay. What about if a person is on the Yawm al-Adha? What are the preferred things to do for them? Take a bath, perfume, eat after the Eid, and go to the Musalla. What does the Imam do over there? He teaches people about the rules of slaughtering on this day and the rules of Takbirat Tashriq. What if they can't pray on the Eid day, the 10th, because of something? Move it to the next day, 11th. What if they can't pray on the 11th? Move it to the next day, 12th. And what if they can't do it on the 12th? Then that's it. They leave it. And what are the timings for the Takbirat Tashriq? After the Fard Salats, starting from the 9th of Fajr, all the way Abu Hanifa says till the 10th Asr. Sahibain say no, from the 9th Fajr all the way until the 13th Asr. And there you have it. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much for all my patrons, to all you guys for the kind support you guys have shown. In fact, I've actually made this video on my very new computer system that I've got. Inshallah, I'll be showing you guys in the next coming days. But I'm just getting it fully set up. So I've actually made this on the new computer, alhamdulillah, and it's much smoother than the old one. No disrespect to the old computer. Hope the whole computer doesn't get upset. And yes, Jazakumullah khair. So if you guys want to support my channel, help me to be able to produce these videos, and in the meantime, you get loads of sadaqah jariyah reward as well for everyone that watches these videos. And alhamdulillah, check out the description below. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.